Okay, nets, emergency communications, and special modes. What is a net? Net is short for network. Nets are groups of operators gathered regularly on a specific frequency for a common interest or purpose. Nets evolved over the years to share and exchange information in an organized and efficient way with accuracy. There are social nets, there are service nets, and there are traffic nets. Traffic is passing messages, social nets are just BSing, and in service nets there's a hospital net on the PRA. There are also topical nets, so on the HF there's a RV net, that the RV guys that are full-timers all around the country can talk to each other. And many other things. And then there are emergency and public service nets, nothing yellow. Public service nets are training for emergency nets, training for ham operators as well as emergency groups and managers supported by amateur radio so they learn to work together. Schedules, agreement by 2 or more operators to meet on a specific frequency at a specific time. Every Monday night at 7 o'clock is the Care Ham Radio net. And there are other nets and they all have established times and frequency. Have a backup frequency in case of interference or poor conditions if you're scheduling with another guy. If it's a net and there's bad stuff, we're not going to try and get everybody to go to a different frequency generally, unless the net has a specific backup frequency listed. Once an operator is checked into a net, unless you are reporting an emergency, transmit only when directed by the net control station. Traffic nets. Traffic refers to formal messages that are exchanged by net stations. Formal structure to ensure accuracy, the National Traffic System, or NTS. We have a form, I think we've got it, comes up here. It provides procedures, accountability, and passing messages exactly as received is a characteristic of good traffic handling. We are not censoring, we are not making decisions, we are communicating the exact message. That's it. Net Control Station, or NCS, commonly called Net Control Operator, so you'll hear them called NCOs. Typical duties are to call the net to order and direct communications between stations checking in. Pay attention to check in and check out procedures. Communications discipline is vital, and learn and follow the procedures. Speak only when directed and only to whom directed. So if I'm running the net and Dave wants to talk to you, Dave needs to ask me if he can go direct to you. And I can say no, probably not gonna, but if I have to because of whatever the nature of the net is, I may tell him no. Or I may say, hey, are you there? Okay, you can go direct with Dave, but keep it short or whatever. Whatever the controller is in charge of the net.
And when that side conversation ends, I'm going to say, back to KP17 net control operator.
Or just back to net. He's going to give his call sign too and sign off. Follow through with your commitments.
Also on that follow through with your commitments, it's a good idea to get back to the net and let them know that you followed through.
And who you talk to.
Correct.
Okay, ARES is the Amateur Radio Emergency Service. ARES. It's part of the ARRL field organization. ARES is a group of licensed amateurs who have voluntarily registered their qualifications and equipment for communications duty in the public service. That's the test part. You have not registered it with the FCC or with the local government or anybody else except the ARRL local group. That's the requirement. Now, they may turn over all that information to the government agency that you're going to help out, but that's not what ARES is. That may be how it's actually done where you are. It's open to any amateur radio operator, regardless of ARRL membership, so you don't have to be a member to be in ARES. And there's no official recognition in the FCC rules, so you're just volunteering to help out. The FCC rules don't say that ARES is whatever. There's no rules about it. You're just using the same amateur radio rules as always, using the same frequencies that you have privileges on, and helping out your local community.
Who has to ask you for that? Does that have to be done by
You,
the comm centers at the police stations or?
Steve, I believe, is still in ARES, right?
Yes.
And so locally, the ham radio operators will always be asking for people to help out with ARES and IWARN and other emergency stuff. And you'll get calls to help with, just through the clubs, to help out with comms. Emergency operations, RACES, the Radio Amateur Civil Emergency Service. And this is a pet peeve of mine, so I'm going to pound into you what they are. It is part of FEMA, SEMA, and EMA. Whatever SEMA and EMA are, I have no idea, but we all know, we all heard of FEMA. It's established by FCC rules and regulations, so ARES is not. RACES is. It's by rule and regulation. An FCC Part 97 amateur radio service using amateur stations and frequencies for emergency management or civil defense communications during national emergencies. It's got to be a nationally declared emergency. Amateur operators are certified by a civil defense organization and enrolled in that organization. That's your question. The President's War Emergency Powers Enactment may restrict normal RACES operations. So, RACES is not a group of people. It is not the county or the city or anything, nothing. It is a radio service, okay? Radio service, just like GMRS, FRS, MERS, ham, commercial. The radio service and that bandwidth. It is not those people over there, sheriff's department or whoever's running the emergency stuff in your location. It's not them. It's the radio waves themselves. And those radio waves, if they turn on RACES, those frequencies are then RACES frequencies. And you as an amateur operator who's signed up with the Civil Defense Authority can operate on those frequencies. But if you're not signed up with them, you can't. If RACES is activated, you can't use those frequencies that you normally use all the time. A lot of people think that RACES is like Aries, but the government, this law. That is not the case. For the test, it's just this part. So radio service using amateur stations and frequencies for emergency management of civil defense communications during national emergencies, and amateur operators are certified by a civil defense organization and enrolled in that organization. So your Aries guys collect all your information and they go, hey, you need help? Here's our guys, you want to sign them up? RACES, training drills and tests require special authorization if they exceed 1 hour per week. I think that's been on every test I've seen. One of those 3 is going to be on it. Oh, one of these 4. This is the one I've seen the most. Only a person holding an FCC issued amateur operator license may be the control operator of an amateur station transmitting in RACES to assist relief operations during the disaster. So the county emergency coordinator can't go, oh, RACES is on, I can use the radio. No, you can't. You got to have one of ham radio operators run the radio for you. All right. Support during emergencies. One of the pivotal reasons for the existence of amateur radios, support for during emergencies, we were initially established so we could get a cadre of trained, licensed operators so that they would go like, hey, we need some radio guys in the Army, you're drafted. Okay, you will be licensed communicators. Get involved and use what you have learned. Know where you fit in the overall emergency management team. It could be as little as there's an earthquake here, we're shut off, food and water and electricity are just gone, and you stick a sign in your window that says, I have a ham radio and I can get your message out. And your neighbors come over and they say, get a message to this person at this address or this phone number or whatever, and I can get a transmission out of the area that's affected to someone who, anybody nowadays, because of cell phone, someone who's outside the area can take that message, make a phone call and say, hey, we got a message out from a ham radio operator that says that so-and-so is okay, don't worry about them, they're doing fine. It could be as simple as just putting that sign up there, or you can get involved in Aries and RACES and all of those other things. EMCOM tips. EMCOM is emergency communications. Do not become part of the problem. You are a communicator, not a decision or policy maker. Good traffic handling is passing messages exactly as received. That's why we're going to WinLink. I'm sending the message, and I type in the email, and I hit send, and it's coming out the other end, just like I sent it. Or as if I have to, like the old days, send it through a series of ham radio operators who has not played telephone in kindergarten. It comes out the other end, like what? Don't give out unauthorized information. One of the big things in search and rescue was we did not say, we found them, they're dead. You don't do that, because you don't know who's listening. You have a code for that. Know your abilities and limitations. Keep yourself safe. That's the primary. You got to stay safe or you can't do any communicating. That's why I wouldn't go to Puerto Rico when I had the big call out, because I couldn't assure myself to be safe, because it was basically no there may have been some fire. It was basically a combat zone because everything was destroyed and people were desperate. And that's dangerous. So if you're 18, you might take that on because you're still immortal. When you're 55 or 60, no. Know your abilities and limitations. Follow radio discipline and net procedures. Radio discipline is big because you're gonna get excited, maintain your distance. Protect personal information. Ham radio communications is a party line, so you don't put out any kind of personal information on people. Hams, broadcaster support. Hams can provide communications for broadcasters, so Channel 5 News. Only if it is necessary to save lives or protect property. No other means of communications is available, yes. So if their cell phones are working, no, you can't do it. Just because they're a TV station doesn't mean they gotta send a TV signal out. They can send a phone report in. That's a method of communication, and it's voice, and you
It
can't
is not
do that.
dependent on our services.
Right, it's not dependent on it, so yeah. So if you couldn't get cell service, they couldn't get internet service, they couldn't get a signal out to say, hey, we gotta get this area evacuated, you can use your ham radio and send it anybody that can transmit that on. Placing a distress call. During the existence of the emergency, a situation involving the immediate safety of human life or protection of property. So it's different than other definitions. This is the definition for ham radio. Immediate safety of human life or protection of property. So if there's a fire and it's about to get to the building, that qualifies. You may use any frequency available without regard to license class. You can be totally unlicensed. Doesn't matter. You're going to have to justify your transmission to whoever may ask you after the fact. You may contact any station without regard to radio service. So this is...
But please remember what I told you guys in Class K1, okay? You can do it, but somebody after the fact, some office flack in a government bureau,
You mean a...
doing what you did.
You mean a Monday morning quarterback?
That's the one.
So be able to justify it. Even to the point, I have the sheriff's department radios in my radio. If it's an emergency,
Me too.
I'll go straight to their frequency and key up and say, hey, this is so-and-so, I'm making an emergency transmission, and here's what's going on, and we need help. Guarantee you, somebody's gonna ask you questions about that. What were you doing on their frequency? But it's an emergency. And their radios are still controlled by the FCC. No, FCC rules always apply to the operation of an amateur station. The ability to go outside your license privileges is via FCC regulations. So you're still in compliance with FCC regulations when you do that. Just know that. And when they start questioning you, you go, hey, I followed all the regs.
And there it says it.
And then
Acknowledge
shut
that
up.
Situations exist.
And then shut up, because you have the right to remain silent. Try and make sure you have the ability. Amateur operators are permitted to operate outside the frequency privileges of their license class in situations involving, there it is again, immediate safety of human life or protection of property. The most likely scenario I can think of is it's property and some bureaucrat in a desk is going to think, oh, nobody was in danger. That barn was, that house was, whatever it is.
It's allowed and encouraged.
And they're going to go, nobody was in danger, it was just property. Yeah, read the rules. Placing a distress call. Also accept the practice to send the distress call pro word or pro sign 3 times. You are going to hear different things about this. I've done the research. The phone pro word is, in fact, Mayday. That's by international treaty. If you go Mayday, 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 or if you're on CW, the pro sign is SOS. I don't remember, one of those is 3 dashes and one of those is 3 dots. So if you just send 3 dashes and 3 dots and repeat them over and over and over, somebody's going to figure out, oh no, it's not OSO, SO, OSO, OSO, it's SOS. They're going to sort that out real fast. So just 3 longs, 3 shorts, that's SOS. Placing a distress call, send your call sign 3 times. I don't know about that. The pro word and your call sign once should probably be fine. On phone, use the ITU NATO phonetic alphabet. That's the one that's in your books that we've sort of taught you. Send the location and nature of the emergency. End with the appropriate pro word or pro sign. I don't know that that's actually valid. It's not yellow, so don't worry about it too much. If there's an emergency, then nobody's going to say whether if you did or didn't. At the end of it, they're not going to worry. End with the appropriate pro word or pro sign. Phone pro word is over when expecting response. Okay, so my bad. So I'm transmitting information to him, whatever it is. He's on 911. They asked me a bunch of information. He sent it to me. I wrote it down. I give him the information back. I say over. He knows I'm done transmitting, so he can say, hey, I didn't copy this or whatever. Better is if I go blah, 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 break. Ooh, there's that word we're not supposed to use in PRA. And then I let off the key, and I wait a few seconds, and I blah, 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 break. And that gives him a chance to write down.
And the use of the word break in that situation tells me he's not done.
No, I'm not done transmitting. I'm giving you a chance to write it down what I just said. That's the, I see head shaking back there. Yup. That's what it's for. It is not an emergency pro word except on the PRA. Okay. Phone pro word is out when not expecting a response. So when I'm done, I'll go over, okay, with my data. He'll come back to me and say out. He's got everything he needs to now go make the relay, and then I'll go out with my call sign. CW Pro sign is K. Nothing yellow there, right? Nothing. Responding to a distress call, make certain that you are the station who can best handle the traffic. I have listened to some people handle an actual emergency where somebody was hurt or there was a problem, and they managed to do it, but they should have let somebody else. Now I had a choice of stepping in and taking over, but that's going to cause, could cause issues. They might resist. He's getting it done. He's just slow and cumbersome about it. So I'm like, I'll monitor it. I'll step in if I have to. I'm going to let them, because he's learning. That person's learning. They're getting experience. The next time, it'll be easier. But if you can't handle it, don't take it. But if nobody else takes it, take it and do the best you can, because you are the station who can best handle the traffic that's available. If you're the only one, do your best. Immediately acknowledge a calling station and determine what assistance may be needed. So, Mayday, 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 KG7TUO, Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. That's how I would do it. Somebody's going to come back, KG7TUO, or station calling Mayday. They may not have caught my call sign. Station calling Mayday. They'll give their call sign. I'm standing by. What do you need? Hey, I've got this.
And I would use that no matter what. Even if I got the call sign right the first time, I would ask them, I would say station calling, just so they had to repeat their call sign. Just so I could verify that I got it.
Yeah. So, but always, what do you need? Ask them what they need. Because they're out in the field with some sort of, away situation. They need assistance, and you're at home with cell phone, computer. Well, what do you need? Accurately copy the information. If you have to, verify it. Go over 2 or 3 times if you have to. If you've got a bad connection, a bad signal to you. Make sure you got the information accurately. Notify the proper authorities. Like I said, you may get a number to call in another state even. Stay in contact with the calling station and till help arrives. I think I told the story about the guy with the older woman who fell out on a trail. Mm-hmm. We lost contact, but I told him, take your radio and get up the trail because they're moving ahead of him. Find a spot where you can contact me again after you make contact with them, and then call me in with any updates. And just make contact so I know you're still there and we still got contact. Worked out well. FCC may declare a temporary state of communications emergency. Just the FCC all by themselves arbitrarily go ominous dominus, temporary state of communications emergency. And they will include details of conditions and rules to be followed. Specifics communicated through websites and ARRL bulletins, the National Traffic System, and on the air. And avoid operating on restricted frequencies unless engaged in relief operations. So when Puerto Rico got hammered, they said, stay off of these frequencies, because that was there for relief operations. So what do? You go to those, you listen to them, you see what's going on. I couldn't hear them, but they were getting the word out of Puerto Rico via ham on those frequencies. Radiogram. Okay, so this is what it looks like. That's the whole form. That is the preamble. There are questions about the preamble. The check is the count of the number of words. So each one of these lines is for one word, and there are 25 lines. So the check is the count of the number of words in the text message. The preamble of a formal traffic message contains the information needed to track the message. The preamble or header contains the information needed to track the message. The check block in the header is the number of words or word equivalents in the text portion of the message. Now, there's a whole lot more to this, but I'm not going to give you any extra, simply because I don't want you to have to try and remember anything else on it other than what's up here. So the check block is the number of word equivalents, and the preamble of the formal message traffic contains the information needed to track the message. Tactical call signs, not tactical, tactical. Facilitate communications, location or function specific, so race headquarters. Checkpoint 23. Example, Butte Fire Base. Transcends the operator changes. So I'm running checkpoint 23, blah, blah, blah. I'm IDing every 10 minutes if I'm transmitting. And when I'm ready to leave, this is KG7TO, checkpoint 23, changing operators. I don't have to add all that other stuff, but I'll let them know. And then Dave gets on, he goes, KG7TO, or KJ7GFS at checkpoint 23, checking in.
The checkpoint hasn't moved.
The checkpoint hasn't moved.
The operator has changed.
The radio may not even have changed, but he might be in his truck with his radio, and I'm in my truck with my radio. SEC ID rules still apply, and you gotta use your ID. Go kits. Hopefully they're stay-in kits, right? Because you prefer to stay where all your food and supplies are. Go kits are portable ham radio equipment, emergency power sources, personal survival supplies and equipment. What these are, it could be a bag, or it could, mine's a backpack. It could be a bag, or it could be a box with all kinds of comm gear in it that's totally self-sustained, or you show up, you take the lid off, and you plug it into a power source. And it's got everything it needs. You set up a wire somewhere, and you're on the air with HF, VHF, UHF, whatever your system is set up for. My backpack has a radio. It has a battery that's on it, which is extended battery. It has the capability to charge from USB. It has a folding solar panel that will charge it via the USB. And I also have the capability to charge AA batteries, and I have a AA battery pack for my radio. So if my radio is full, I can be charging AA batteries for when my radio it goes low.
And I have all of that in mind, plus I have a throw up on the tree antenna.
And the vets know, well, I don't know if you've read Soldier's Load. Ounces add up to pounds equals pain. You want to carry a Yaesu 857 Delta Shack in a box, you go right ahead.
You're carrying it.
You're carrying it and the batteries for it. You are going to participate, if you're going to participate in IMCOM, get training. Actively participate in IMCOM activities, NETs, public service activities, attend community meetings and get involved in your community. Take IMCOM courses, ARRL has them, and NIMS and FEMA both have them. Okay, questions. Which of the following are typical duties of a net control station? Charlie. What is the Amateur Radio Emergency Service? ARES.
Very fast.
You didn't read it properly.
No, I did not.
Is it a training program?
Yep.
It is?
No. We got to have some kind of training.
You have to have training, but it's not a training program. ARES is a group of licensed amateurs who voluntarily register to qualifications and equipment for communications duty in the public service. It's got nothing to do with the military. It requires training, but it's not a training program. Which of the following is standard practice when you participate in a net? Charlie? Ah, you don't want to give your name and address, and just like it's in the SEC database?
Not either.
Unless you're reporting an emergency, transmit only when directed by the net control station. So that could include something like calling, looking for check-ins. Because on a noontime net, they don't know who's out there. They go, looking for check-ins, and there's a pileup sometimes. And they'll go, oh, I heard Charlie 7. Who's the Charlie 7 station? Or whatever they pulled out of it. All right, which of the following is a characteristic of good traffic handling?
No.
Exactly as received. What information is contained in the preamble of a formal traffic message? Information needed to track the message. What is meant by check in a radiogram header? Number of words or word equivalents. When do SEC rules not apply to the operation of an amateur station?
No. Trick question, yes.
Trick question, yes. Always. Because the rules allow you to deviate.
The rules specifically allow you to do other things.
What is the Radio Amateur Civil Emergency Service? RACES. I hope I beat this into your brains enough. All of these. Radio service using amateur frequencies for emergency management or civil defense comms. Okay, that's true. Radio service using amateur stations for emergency management or civil defense communications. Oh, frequencies, stations. Okay.
And the next line is
An amateur service using amateur operators certified by a civil defense organization. Are we sure it's still Delta?
Yep.
Oh, it's Delta.
Yep.
You're so easy to confuse. All of those. What is RACES? Oh, all of the above is not an option. Delta, FCC Part 97 amateur radio service for civil defense comms during national emergencies is correct.
Yes, they do.
What does the term traffic refer to in net operation? Are you studying for extra?
Trying to.
Good.
Because you spit them all out, boom. Okay, what does the term traffic refer to? Alpha. Who said A? I heard somebody say A.
I thought he said Apple.
Okay, messages exchanged by net stations. Are amateur station control operators ever permitted to operate outside the frequency privileges of their license class?
Delta.
Yes, but only in situations involving immediate safety of human life and protection of property. What is the first thing you should do if you are communicating with another amateur station and hear a station in distress? Break in. Acknowledge the station in distress and determine what assistance may be needed. That is correct. Which of the following are examples of NATO
There's
phonetics?
Apple. I didn't see Apple.
This is the question's just for you, Rob.
I didn't see Delta.
Oh, he got it right. It was hard, I know, right? It
It
was
was.
hard. You wanted to go Alpha, didn't you? You wanted to go Apple.
He was.
I like this dog.
Able, that's right.
Yeah. And Baker.
My dad was a cop and they used Abel Baker Charlie dog. And I had that drilled in my brain. And then I joined the military and became a flight crew student. And I had to beat that out of my head. Thank God ham radio uses the same one that pilots use. Who may be the control operator of an amateur station transmitting races to assist relief operations during a disaster? Who could be the control operator?
And this one's really easy.
It's also a trick.
Yes, it is. I'll
Good job. How often may races, training drills, and tests be routinely conducted without special authorization?
Charlie.
1 hour a week, no more. Which of the following is good amateur practice for net management?
Bravo.
Have a backup frequency in case of interference or poor conditions.